Greetings, divine family of Inside Timer, and welcome to today's live session. I had originally set this session up as a mini reading session, but I woke up this morning and realized it is solstice, and I really felt called to do something for the solstice. So I hope you don't mind, those of you who did sign up for the mini reading session. We're going to do a little bit of a group channeling around this solstice energy, and we're going to do a little bit of intention setting together, and I think that's more powerful. But watch out, I will of course be setting up another mini reading session in the future. So for those of you who are here already, welcome. A blessing to connect and join in sacred space with you today. Hello, Divine Diane. Welcome. Hi, Johnny. Love to have you here. Many blessings. Hello, Leonore. Beautiful to see you joining us. And yeah, for those of you who are already in the space, blessings, Paula. Welcome. Let us know how you feel about this solstice energy today. Now, of course, depending whether you are in the northern hemisphere or the southern hemisphere, this might be your winter or your summer solstice, right? Of course, if you're in the north, it would be the winter solstice. So the shortest day, shortest night, and that turnaround point when you start moving back towards the light. Of course, if you're in the south, this is your longest day, longest night, and that turning point when you move from that most bright towards that energy of the darkness. Now, it's very interesting for me because I find myself very close to the equator, so we don't feel so much that energy of longer days or shorter days. It pretty much feels very similar all year round. The major difference is that this time of year is kind of the peak of the rainy season, and I think that comes with a whole nuanced energy of its own. But I do think that, you know, wherever you are in the world, there is still magic around the solstice, and there is still this turning point energy, right? And we can talk about a turning point, right? A revolution, a moving away from something and towards something else. A moment where we acknowledge what we are shedding, what we've been working towards, what's been building up, what we're willing to let go of, what we're willing to accept in our lives, right? You know, technically for me it's the summer solstice as well, which just means rainy season, really. But like I say, we're just so close to that equator, you don't really feel it. I think I'm below the equator. I might even be confused. It really is that close. It's that close to the equator, right? Leonore, I'm in Madrid, always have to celebrate the solstice. Yes, absolutely love that. Yeah, you know, I think an acknowledgement that pretty much all of us, if you trace our ancestry back far enough, we come from traditions that all celebrated these very important times in the year. And these times were, you know, very much linked with the flow of the earth. So these were like earth-based, we could call it earth-based religion, but of course this concept of religion is a more modern day idea, or a modern day, but you know, let's say since the dawning of like Christ or whatever it is. But if we go back to those very pagan roots, right, and all of us have animist pagan roots, you take it back far enough, it's all connected with the earth. And I do think that one can look through the lens of organized religion being just another way to look at an earth-based religion, right? We think of God is the sun, bringer of life, creation energy, right? Nourishing the earth. And we have the story of, you know, the three stars, Orion's belt being the three kings, following that North Star. So, you know, we can talk about it all in astrological ways as well. I'm not an expert in the field, but I've heard a few people talk about these things, and it's interesting how when you start peeling back the metaphoric layers of something, how you can actually see how everything is just the same way, or sorry, a different way of perceiving or looking at the same thing. And so, you know, there is something quite ancestral for pretty much everyone, and something very primal about us acknowledging these important days and these moments of turnaround. And I think even just on like a magnetic field level, like the way our bodies are connected to the flow of the planet, and the way the different planets pull us and the gravity moves us, and the movements of the moon, etc., and how much light we receive into our bodies throughout a day, I think that does shift our personal energy. And something in us shifts. And if we can talk about the power of intention, right? And I was just editing a video of mine earlier, and I was talking about, you know, I was responding to one of my students, and my student had pointed out that they'd had a dream that was very much linked to a meditation they were doing as they were falling asleep. And it had taken them into these like very angelic realms, because that was the theme of this meditation. And they were quite amazed at that very direct link. And I was like, well, this is literally, you've literally shown yourself how powerful intention setting can be. Now, things can manifest in dream spaces a little bit quicker than they do here in this more base, earthy, physical plane. And in some ways, it's useful that things manifest a little bit slower here, because otherwise everything we thought of, and we're not very in control of our minds as a human species, it would kind of manifest instantly, and we don't really want that, because we tend to have dark thoughts as well. So it becomes about what is our consistent focus, and how much do we bring ourselves back to those intentions that we are weaving. Blessings, Paul. Diane, my immediate world is suddenly very intense, but we had our first snow. Diane, I completely feel that, and I'm going to talk a little bit through the lens of astrology with that as well. You know, honestly, for me, this week has been incredibly intense, and I think, yeah, I like to talk through the astrology, but because that's, you know, it's one way of looking at the collective energetics and how they're affecting us as individuals. So let's see how many of you relate with this. We were in a Mercury retrograde, which kind of slows everything down. Logistics, communication, social media, Wi-Fi, connections in general. Misunderstandings are very prominent during the Mercury retrograde, and so there's like all of this stagnant energy. At the same time, Mars is retrograde, and Mars retrograde can cause feelings of irritation, agitation, aggression. It can bring up inner child stuff. It can bring up unresolved rage and anger, and it can cause us to go into quite unconscious outbursts. Now, of course, if you are aware of this going into Mars retrograde, you can go, okay, I'm watching out for all the triggers, and I'm going to like challenge myself to really sit with those emotions and not shout, scream, perform, and behave like a 3-year-old, right? And, you know, all due respect and love to everyone who falls into that. Lord knows I have done it many times in my life before, right? Triggers are intense to deal with. But it is, you know, there's something to be said that if when we are feeling triggered, we sit and we breathe and we contemplate and we maybe take a step back and pause. Now, what happened this last week is Mercury stationed direct. And as Mercury stationed direct, communication speeds up, logistics speeds up, and there's this sort of rush of energy, and it's a clumsy rush of energy, while Mars is still retrograde, and there's all of these deep emotions and aggressive energy around. And so the clash of these energies, like the one speeding up as the other one, is really causing all of this agitation. For me, has caused a lot of violent and energetic outbursts in my physical environment. And you know, some of the things that have happened is just like things crashing to the ground, things exploding, so like actual things as well. So you know, there's people who are affected, but there's also other physical energies that are affected. So you know, for example, there was a lighter sitting on the floor in my room, which I normally just use to light some incense, and that just randomly exploded this week while I was sitting on my bed. Nothing happened, nothing changed in the room, and nothing was, you know, nothing was burning near it or anything like that. It was just this sort of freak accident where the lighter exploded. Of course, I've also had people exploding at me, and a number of triggering moments where I certainly felt the urge to explode myself. And I'm very proud of myself that I didn't, but it's been a lot of meditation and a lot of deep breathing to get that right. So I feel you on that intensity there, Diane. And I would love to hear what everyone else thinks about that energy. Have you also noticed that, you know, the last week, not even a full week, it's not even 7 days, more like 5 days, where things have suddenly just been going, popping off, right? Like, yeah, short fuses and all of these kinds of energies. Donna, I'm in winter solstice, very high north, mostly dark. Yes, you know, I have experienced that before, and it's so crazy how short the days can get, but it's also quite magical how long they can get when you reach summer. So yeah, there is something quite interesting about the drastic movement and that turnaround energy for those of you who are quite far north or quite far south. Very, very interesting, right? Leonore, OMG, incredible. A light in my house exploded for no reason, right? So interesting. And you know, of course, when it comes to astrology, a lot of people don't believe in it, which is absolutely fine. You don't have to. But I really do enjoy the argumentation is maybe too confrontational, but the making the point that astrology is based in thousands of years of observation of how certain positions and movements in the planetary system affect certain personalities, behaviors, and characteristics, which is literally the basis of which science is built upon. It is observation, right? Science is all about what you observe. So it's about looking at patterns. And while those patterns have been described in ways that are story, metaphor, mythology, right, through the narratives of the stars, it is based on this idea of the observation of peoples and the kinds of energies that come out with certain planetary movements, and the way that affects our collective as well as our individual personalities, right? And you know, I seem to recall that during the last Mars retrograde, no, not the last one, sorry, but one of the significant Mars retrogrades in 1988, if I remember correctly. Excuse me, I didn't look this up just before, so I'm really reaching into the brain archives here. I believe the Berlin Wall fell during that Mars retrograde. Maybe I got the date, maybe I got the year wrong, but I think it was 88. And I'm pretty sure that was during a Mars retrograde. And you look at what's unfolded now, right? And I do believe that in 2020, the Mars retrograde was happening as we were kind of going deep into our lockdowns, and people were going kind of crazy at home, not wanting to be at home. Was that 2020? I think so. And of course now with Mars retrograde, we've witnessed this this CEO who was shot in New York, and we're seeing a lot of sort of very like revolutionary ideas and the uniting of like left and right, and we're just seeing a lot of narratives fall. We're seeing a lot of interesting aggressive energy stirring up, and apologies if it was 89, Jennifer, and I stand to be corrected, but this is a typical energy of a Mars retrograde, is like the Berlin Wall falling, right? There's something powerful, symbolic, revolutionary about the Berlin Wall falling, right? And I think it's quite a good symbol in some ways of like the Tower card in the tarot, which talks about destruction, catastrophe, pandemic, this kind of energy. But we often forget that there are certain things in the world, in life, which have run their course, and they need to fall. And so, of course, this is all very relevant to the fact that we're in our solstice. So the lead up energy to this has been, there have been stirrings of revolutionary energy. There have been temptations for aggression and violence. There have been outbursts of violence. Things have been exploding. Of course, we can also talk about the literal explosions happening in the Middle East, for example. And things are intensified right now, right? There's upheaval as we approach the solstice. Of course, we can also talk about the Pluto in Aquarius energy, which is also all about revolution, new ways of seeing, futuristic things, new technologies, and new governments, right? Turning towards humanitarian goals, idealism, this kind of thing. I don't know who of you were maybe at my Pluto in Aquarius talk, which I did a little while ago, but hopefully I'll be able to upload that one at some point. Let's see how it goes. I haven't edited it yet, but I did make a recording. And this revolutionary energy, it's an unsettled energy as well, right? It in some ways feels a bit like eclipse energy, which I've done a number of talks on, is that eclipse energy. And entering into this solstice moment where we are encouraged to just take a bit of time to reflect on ourselves, to reflect on what it is that we're bringing into the world, what it is we're choosing to light up, how it is we're choosing to take responsibility when challenging moments arrive in front of us, how it is that we protect ourselves in our energy, how it is that we allow ourselves to be connected to the rest of the world and to be a part of that collective, that great shift, and essentially what intentions we wish to leave behind and what intentions we wish to take forward. And yeah, I feel like that's pretty much my little bit of a speech around the solstice energy. But I would like to go into a short group channeling session to bring through some additional messages, just connecting in with spirit. In just a moment, let's see what you're saying in those comments. Nara was 1989. Thank you for the correction. Aw, Paula, that explains my irritation this week. Yes, you know, actually that makes me just think, you know, it's so important for us also, like sometimes when I'm talking about the astrology and like I teach people about like the Mercury retrograde, and then people start doing things like, oh no, it's Mercury retrograde, run away, hide, blah blah blah, and then, you know, it becomes this like scapegoat where you like blame the movements of the planets for everything. And I think it's more powerful for us to use it as a tool of empowerment. So to be aware that, okay, these challenging emotions can arise, but like, how can I use that as points of growth, right? How can I use that as points of growth? And how can I still take responsibility for myself, for how I carry myself in the world, how I react, how I respond, and how I use this as fuel for healing myself and therefore the world, because I do not exist in a vacuum, darlings, right? Jennifer, yes, it's been popping off right off here. Felt, Chantal, same. Jennifer, I've been tense and my fuse has been very short. Felt, Jennifer. Oof. I think for me, because I enter Mars retrograde so consciously, because I'm very aware of it, I follow the movements of Mars because my moon is in Scorpio and my MC is Aries, and those are Mars ruled energies. So yeah, Mars is quite a strong planet for me, and its movements do stir me. And also there was a Mars retrograde when I was born, so my natal Mars is retrograde, which, yeah, so it's very it's a very deep one for me. And I think before I became aware of that, it used to cause me to have a very short fuse and to lose my temper and to throw tantrums all the time. And since becoming aware, I find that it's more so now that other people are really, really, really triggered by me. And of course I feel the triggers, don't get me wrong, but I'm very good at like, all right, what are we gonna do with this? What can I do with this emotion? And I normally will take a step back, and depending how much time I need, I mean, I might need 2 days to process what you just said to me, and I'm gonna think, and I'm gonna feel all the things, and then I'm gonna come back, hopefully with a very grounded kind of approach to the whole thing, right? Ruth, we will have a moment to actually celebrate at 9. Nara, 1989, thank you. Johnny, very much resonates. I felt some very intense, unresolved emotions, lots of journaling, breath work, and meditation. And I'll probably direct some of this energy into a punch bag later. That is a great way to release energy. Honestly, martial arts, running, walking, yoga, swimming, jumping up and down, somatic release, so good during this Mars retrograde energy. I mean, it's always good to do that physical movement, but right now it's so good to like release it out of the physical body through physical movements, because otherwise our bodies just store that stuff, and fam, we don't want to keep that in our bodies. Like, let's release that. I love those approaches, and I think they're all really great suggestions for everyone else here. Ruth, we will have a moment to actually celebrate at 9:21. Well, for me it's not 9:21. For me it's a little bit different, and I think depending where you are on the earth, that turnaround moment is slightly different. But to those of you who are hitting your peak solstice in this moment, a very, very happy solstice to you, and of course a very happy solstice to each and every one of us. It is such an honor to connect and join and share in this beautiful moment together. Blessings, Sareda. Happy solstice. Amen, Jennifer. Things need to change sometimes, or be upheaved, right? Unveiled as well, you know. I recently watched a TikTok, so I can't properly reference where I read this, but, you know, it's also in the dictionary. But the TikTok made me aware of this fact that the word apocalypse comes from the Greek root. I can't remember the Greek word, but it means to clear away, to unveil. And I thought that was so interesting, and it started making me think about this connection between like transformation, turning around, and like apocalyptic energy. You know, how many of you have a theme of apocalyptic dreams? A lot of people do, right? Especially a lot of sensitive and spiritual people. And I do think that, well, you know, dreams are not literal, they're metaphoric, but I do think that there is a lot of truth in the metaphor of that apocalypse. I think in many ways we're in the apocalypse already. And I really, people don't, I'm sorry, sometimes I can sound so dark. I really don't mean that in a doomy, gloomy kind of way. I mean that in an exciting, transform, change this world kind of way. And that's my point. And it is into the darkness that we must go to do that transmutation work, right? It's the shadow work, fam. And the collective shadow right now is rearing its ugly head at us, and it is time to confront it, honestly. Jennifer, like you're in limbo just waiting for the tower to fall, but don't know when, but know that it will, right? In many ways we've seen many falling towers, right? I think out there, you know, there isn't just one tower. There's many towers, and some of them have already toppled over. I mean, I even think that the amount of mass awakening that happened through the time of COVID, that was a tower that fell, for sure. There was a massive tower that fell there. I think for the first time ever, a lot of people had the time to just sit down and look at themselves in the mirror, look at their family relations, think about society. Like, people didn't have so much time to think because they were so distracted by the flow of work life, right? Hi, Riddy. I have decided not to do the mini readings today. We're going to do a group channeling, so stay tuned and we're going to set some intentions together. Like a butterfly who finished her journey of being a caterpillar. Seen fires breaking out in Mars retrograde. Yes, of course, that's very typical. Very typical. Morning, Zai. Hey, Clara. Blessings. Jennifer, I'm a Pisces, so I am quite emotional. So it's hard for me to hold it in, but I am learning. You know, Jennifer, honestly, I think that the release of emotion is totally acceptable. I think tears are acceptable. I think emotional release is absolutely acceptable. I think what's not acceptable is shouting violence and aggression. I think that there are other ways for us to release, you know. So and this is such an important nuance. Like we're not supposed to just keep this all bottled inside of us. Oh, hell no. Hell no. Like you do need to release, right? But it's about how we release and where as well, because sometimes if someone is triggering you in a moment, it might not be the best thing to release now at that person, right? Because that's also just called projection, right? Because now, and it often turns into this energy, it becomes a blaming that person for how you're feeling, when actually you need to take responsibility for your own feeling. That does not mean that we don't set a boundary or look at the potential toxicity of that interaction, right? It's just that we understand that the intensity of the emotion that's boiling up is not all about that exact moment and that person, right? That there is a whole load of ammunition sitting behind that emotion that belongs to your childhood and your ancestry and other past traumatic experiences. Jennifer, yes, Dark Night of the Soul time. Absolutely. To be fair, you know, sometimes I feel a little bit triggered by this word light worker. And of course I work with light beings. But sometimes this idea of the light worker negates the importance of shadow work. And I probably spend a lot more of my time and a lot more of my alchemical time dwelling in shadows. And it's when I go to meet myself there, when I'm depressed, lonely, sad, at my worst, and I'm able to pull myself out like the phoenix rising from the ashes, right? Nice imagery actually for this Mars retrograde. And the phoenix, of course, is one of those symbols of Scorpio. Scorpio is ruled by Mars, so there's a nice connection there of that phoenix. I think it's a very nice metaphor to work with here. The phoenix must die in order to be reborn, must go to the darkness, must go to the underworld, also ruled by Pluto. So let's talk about the links between Pluto and Mars and Scorpio, right? These energies all work together, and the fact that, of course, we have this very powerful Plutonian shift into Aquarius. So, you know, all of these very dark, malefic planets. So Mars and Pluto are known as two of the malefic planets, the planets that are, you know, dealing with negative energy, dark energy. And again, you know, that doesn't need to mean bad. You know, sometimes I think we think of negative energy as always equating with bad, but if we even think of like a negative charge of electricity is often a very necessary thing in order to balance things out, right? So we don't need to be super black and white here. I think this is what causes a splitting in our psyches, is this like, and it's what causes that unconscious shadow, because it is, and it happens when we're very young, you know. As an example, let's paint a picture. You're 2 years old, you throw a tantrum, and one of your parents might say something to you like, anger is nasty. And so they start embedding these ideas into your subconscious that you should not be angry. But of course, if you feel anger and now you're being shamed and guilted and possibly even punished for the fact that you are expressing anger, and hey, you don't know yet how to deal with anger, and many of our parents never taught us how to, deal with the anger or express the anger in a way that is healthy, but instead taught us to suppress the anger, that becomes the shadow. Because we start to disidentify with that part of ourselves that feels the anger. And so we deny that it's there. And then it bubbles out unconsciously. And then we point blame out there on other people. This is what causes that fragmentation in the psyche. And if instead we go, there's that angry part of me, come home, darling. Let me hold you. You are valid in how you feel, right? Just feel that. What does it remind you of? Where does it take you? How can you follow that wormhole, that portal, right to the original source of that emotion? Right, that's the shadow work. It's the integrating of that negative. Instead of that, it's not me, I'm above that, right? Let's see where we were. Zoraida, yes, me too, Jennifer. Jennifer, that's what I'm learning, and taking accountability for my outbursts and just ugliness. And you know, that's a very powerful step. I mean, all of us have been there, right? And if you were never taught the tools, and then you don't have the tools until somehow you learn those tools, right? Me too. I have so much shadow work to go through, but it is required for the transformation. Amen. And may we always come back to that integrating of the shadows. Yes, Zoraida, so agree, shadow workers. Jennifer, so I put my big girl panties on and now I'm working through it. Amen. No way out but through. No way out but through. And no way to heal unless you allow yourself to feel, right? A little bit of cheesy rhyming going on there, but it's very true. Honestly, it's very, very true. Water. Alright, Divine Loves. I have not pulled out any cards just yet, but I would like to call the blue team in, and I would like to bring through a little bit of a channeling session right now. And as I connect and call them in and bring some cards out, they're all upside down for now, but I just like to get them in front of me to feel the energy before I enter into a little bit of a channeling. Let's see what comes through, if there's anything that wants to come out on top of what we've already discussed, just in terms of the astrological energies and what I've been observing in my personal life in relation to the global energy and what I'm seeing in the world, right? Let's tap into those ethers. But I would love to invite those of you who are watching to just think for yourself, like, what energy are you aligning with at this time, right? And let's be careful that that's not a gaslight, yeah? Let's be careful that we're not gaslighting where we are, right? What are we calling in? And maybe it's like a even though kind of energy, or maybe it's like, you know, right now I'm feeling angry, triggered, fiery, aggressive, but despite that, you know, that lights a fire inside of me. And the one thing I will say about this energy is it is activating, and it does give me energy, right? I mean, I don't know how many of you feel this, and probably it's quite different for those of you far north where you're really in that short day. But for me, I'm feeling very energized. Like, I'm not sleeping a lot this week. I feel like, and it's an anxious kind of energy, but it's like I'm getting a lot done. I'm doing lots with my time. And I'm focusing that energy, and it's not always feeling great, but there is something powerful about it. So just think to yourself, what energy are you turning towards in this moment of turnaround, this solstice energy, as we turn our backs, right? And let's maybe just give you some other keys here, because if you are in the northern hemisphere, you're in your winter solstice, you are turning away from the shortening, from the moving towards the shadows, and you are turning towards the light. So you can work with that metaphor. For those of you in the south, you should be at the peak of your light, right? Light can also be fire. And you're turning towards the darkness, the slowing down, the integrating, the incubation, right? The gestation, that kind of energy. Hello, Divine Summer Star. Love to see you joining us. And if you feel called to share your solstice intentions here in the comments, you're very welcome. It's lovely to receive your intentions. Of course, if you want to keep them sacred and to yourself, or I think either way it's still sacred, but if it feels more sacred for you to keep it to yourself, that's also beautiful. So we have a nice pile of cards there. I'm just gonna put them in front of me, and I really feel called to just get a little bit of smoke medicine going. Give me a moment. Leonor, peace, peace. Yeah, peace is it's an interesting one, because often we need a lot of upheaval in order to get to the state of like true peace, right? Quite a, yeah, I feel like the peace energy, I mean, we can cultivate it within ourselves, like a peacefulness with the non-peacefulness that is present in the collective. Yeah, but I don't know, you know, if we're going to talk about like world peace, for example, it doesn't feel like that's likely for, at least for a while, at least not on the timeline I'm on right now. I don't know if I said this recently in one of the lives, but I'll say it now, just in case. But, you know, I can remember a bit earlier on in the year and just really feeling the intensity of a lot of the stuff that's happening in the globe, in the world, and feeling dismayed because, you know, I have this psychic vision. I understand that there are multiple parallel realities and there are so many versions of Earth, and I just couldn't understand, what am I doing here? Why am I on this timeline? Like, what did I do to deserve being on this timeline? I keep doing the work, and I keep, I guess in some ways, just really hoping that I'm going to switch to that timeline where, you know, the bombing stops and people love all peoples, and we stop oppressing certain types of peoples, and we stop harming the planet and destroying our waters and destroying our forests and etc., etc. And I can remember like really sitting and having a good cry about this, And one of the members of the blue team came down and they were like, Carla, hello, girl. This is where you're needed. This is what you chose. You chose to be here because this is where you can bring your medicine. You're not needed on that planet, right? You're not needed on that version of Earth. And I got goosebumps then, and I get it now, because I know to the core of me that is the truth. And I know that is the truth for many of you watching here today. And I think if there's one idea or seed that I can plant with you, it is to know the blessing there is in being alive at this time today, and that the way you carry yourself, the way you heal yourself, the way you respond in every moment, the way you honor people, the consumer choices you make, every little butterfly effect is your gift to the world. And we are here in this timeline to make a difference, to shift the collective vibration. And when we gather together with those kinds of intentions, that is super powerful. That is super powerful. Tamara, joy and patience. Beautiful. Bella, how's your day going? Hello, Bella. Ooh. My day has been intense, but we're here to embrace it and be with all of it. And I think I saw Summer Star. Greetings, Goddess. Greetings, Goddess, to you too. And Leonore, specifically that inner peace, right? The inner peace. I think that is. I think it's an essential thing to cultivate that inner peace in so many of these moments. Otherwise, how are we going to survive this, right? All right, I feel like in some ways the channeling has been happening, but let's see what else wants to come through. Let's give a little bit of time and moment for the blue team. We really wish to encourage you at this time to work with cleansing energy. There are many elements that you can work with to cleanse. Water is a very good one. Salt water is particularly powerful. Water that has been prayed over. Moon water, river water, waterfall water. But if you only have the water coming out of your taps to work with, this too shall suffice. Fire is another great cleanser. Though fire can easily become destructive, we cannot ignore the same in water. Water too has the power to destroy. And I think when we approach any element, any aspect, any person, it really is the intention with which we approach and use that thing that differentiates it from becoming a destroyer, a toxin, or a healer and a cleanser. It is the same vessel. Likewise, if we look at the vibration, the energy of humanity, the same vessel, the same potential. And in any moment you can be the destroyer, you can be the violent outburst, you can be the aggression. You can be in your shadows unconsciously or consciously. Or you can be the love. You can be the cleanser, you can be the feeler, you can be the transmuter, you can be the heart opener. In every moment you have the choice. Do you open your heart? Or do you allow yourself to be overrun by your emotions, your traumas? Do you close up unconsciously? Do you spew acid at others? And indeed, even if you do any of those things, when you realize, what do you do with that realization? How do you approach the amendments, the resolutions? How do you invite yourself to look in the mirror and see yourself deeper? Work with the cleansing energy, for power is bubbling up within you and around you, and you can access so much of it, and you can access it for destruction, for self-destruction. I mean, any destruction is self-destruction. Or you can access it for healing, for cleansing, for releasing, and for turning around. And even as you acknowledge that you sit in your shadows, we encourage you to turn your face into the light and know that you can be both places at the same time. There is not, this is true and that is not. There is always, it is all true. We invite you at this time, as we move through this grand scale awakening and major collective shift. I mean, 2025 is really going to be the fastest changing world you ever did see. You're not going to recognize the world we're in by the end of it. We really encourage you to invite in the ability to hold multiple perspectives, to see this and that and realize that they contradict each other, yet they can both exist, for there are multiple realms, multiple ways, multiple perspectives, multiple aspects. We invite you to step into your multi-dimensional nature. You are both physical and spiritual. You are both emotional and energetic. You are all these things. You exist in many planes. And while from one realm of viewing we can see the physical realm as an illusion, it also is very real and is not an illusion. It is both an illusion and not an illusion. It is both real and not real at the same time. How can this be? How can we wrap our minds around the impossibilities, as if we've just jumped down that rabbit hole into Wonderland? Really, there was a lot of truth, a lot of revealing in that novel. The ground is much more unstable than you think it is. Your mind is much more powerful than you think it is. Your body is much more magical than you think it is. You truly have the ability, the capacity, and the innate knowing already on how to heal everything. As a collective, so much can be done still. There is still time to save this version of Earth. There is still time for integration and healing. How do you take steps towards that? What are you turning towards? From a more practical level, we'd really love to encourage many of you to access a number of healing modalities. Massage is feeling incredibly powerful at this time. I know for some of you this may not be financially viable. Massage yourself. Find ways to release the physical body. Tennis ball on the ground with YouTube videos. There are so many ways. Use a gua sha. Use a stone. Sit cross-legged and massage your own feet. Breath work. Learning to breathe deep and slow. Learning to access the power of breath which connects you to all that is. Calms your nervous system. Shifts everything. Open your hearts, open your minds. Work with the physical body. Work with cleansing energy. Of course, we can encourage you to do that through food and water, drinking water as well. Give me one moment, darlings. I'm going to let my kitty cat in and see if she's going to behave herself because she's been crying at the door. I don't know if you can hear her. And then we'll have a look at the cards. Where are you? Huh? Okay. Yes, pumpkin, come here. So let's see what those cards are bringing through. Yes, absolutely. You know, some of you through this time might find that you actually become physically ill, or you just feel completely fatigued, drained, physically exhausted. This kind of energy can really come through. My little baby. Say hello to Charlotte, everyone. Are you just crying at the door, my little impossibility? Yeah. You are the biggest test of my patience ever. Yes. Until I have a child, I'm sure. Do spend time letting go. Breath work is so powerful for that. Working with that physical release, the massage, that's also very, very powerful for that journey. Step into trust. Step into trust. No. Go over there, please. Okay. I think she just gets very excited when there's cards and crystals out. Yeah, that's that's when she becomes impossible. She starts swatting the crystals around. This is just... oh, Charlotte, you are such a distraction. Okay, yes, absolutely. We get that card of transformation. I'll show you that one as a lovely one, and I'll let you know this is a deck made by a very divine friend of mine, Psychic Emma of Happy Light, and I do love to use this beautiful deck. You know, it's a very good moment to release mental blocks and to become aware of mental blocks, to see the mental blocks. Align with the energy of knowing that the truth, well, a chosen truth essentially, is that you are safe. Because of course, you know, on one level, the physical level, a very real existence, right? And this is probably why it was so important for me to say in that channeling that on one level this realm is an illusion, but it's also not an illusion. It's also a very real experience, right? And so on one level, you're probably not safe, right? You're in a certain country, you're in a certain toxic dynamic, you're not safe, right? The physical body can be not safe. And I think to acknowledge that and realize you have power to change that, and there are steps that you can take to change that if you are so lucky. Of course, perhaps there are some situations, some people cannot leave those spaces. But on the spiritual plane, there is a part of you that can never be taken, that can never be bombed, that can never be hurt, that can never be harmed. And at that level, the truth that you are safe is always true. And it can be useful to connect in with that part of ourselves. And that's not to gaslight ourselves from the fear that is present. Fear is not something we want to bypass. Fear is something we want to look in the face squarely. We want to walk towards, we want to embrace. That is where real transmutation can happen. We need to face those shadow selves. We need to crumble this tower. We need to look at the skills we have. We need to look at what gifts we have to give the world and ask those questions. How can I gift myself to the world? Sweetie pie, you keep going for the tripods, and that's not a good place for you. See? I don't know if you could see that she's like now attacking my necklace. Go behind the shelf. Go. Leave the tripods. She just always goes straight for the place she shouldn't go. Oh my god. Come on, I'm busy with the channeling. Thank you. Ay. I don't know what to do with it, honestly. No, that is not where you're allowed to go. No. Go on the bed or something. This is a powerful new beginning. Many of you are being called to step into the activism role. There are many ways that you can step into activism. There is not just one way. Catnip makes her more crazy, honestly. She's even worse on catnip. I've tried. You can hear that purring, Sueda. Activism can be at the dinner table. Activism can be online. Activism can be in so many forms. Activism can be in how you shop. How can you be active as an active member of a global society, as a person calling in a new world? Right? I think that's a very important question at this time. How can we be active in creating a world that is void of oppressions? One that breaks down the hierarchies, right? One that honors the gifts of all kinds of peoples. One that rehabilitates those who need healing. One that feeds and houses and homes and loves and honors all peoples. Like free water, free food, right? If you do feel ill at this time, spend time in bed, access healing. You know, I've been working actually on a healing program which I wrote a while ago, and I just need to sit and actually record it. But yeah, I've got a whole bunch of content sitting ready to be recorded that I'm very excited about. So watch this space. Lots of content coming this year, hopefully in the next 3 months before I give birth to my first child, for those of you who didn't know I'm pregnant. And yes, and I that healing program I think is a really important one, because you know, your body is so incredible. Honestly, it's so incredible. Your body is 30 trillion cells, single-celled organisms working in perfect unison. Girl, stop going for my microphone. You may not bite my microphone. 30 trillion single-celled organisms of intelligent life working together in perfect unison, so that you get to think of yourself as one separate being, which of course is not true, because many cells are dying each day, and new ones are coming in and being created and generated, and each cell is intelligent, has a brain, can think for itself, and can heal itself, has the ability to heal itself. And when we think of disease, like say cancer, for example, this is a cell that is destroying itself, attacking its colony. So it's not functioning healthily. Of course, we can see how this happens in our societies if we think of human beings as cells on the earth, and the earth as a being, right? And your cells are programmed in what to do by your thinking processes. Your central computer, which is 95% run by your subconscious mind, only 5% is conscious. So of course we can consciously go, okay, brain, do this thing, program the body, and that's very powerful. But really, when we start getting to those subtle layers, so we start taking ourselves into like deeper and deeper states of relaxation, where we become more susceptible, and those programs go deeper and deeper into the subconscious, right? So we think of dis-ease as negative programs by our subconscious mind, and I think that part of the subconscious mind is also, you know, that's our connection to collective consciousness. So part of that is, you know, it's ours and it's personal, and a large part of that is also the collective energy, right? And so we receive a lot of that programming also from our ill society. And so when you realize that you are the healer, right? That's incredibly, incredibly powerful. And honestly, I didn't plan it this way, but this just feels like the perfect moment to mention that I have a healing retreat coming up next year. It's in a whole year's time. It's in December next year, so you got time to save, and I think the pricing is really great. And for those of you who feel called to do a week of intensive healing with me, I am a hypnotherapist, a yoga teacher, a meditation teacher, and I've been working on blending these modalities in a very powerful way. And we're going to teach you some powerful tools of self-hypnosis, and essentially we're going to spend a week dealing with programming the body and the mind to heal in an incredibly powerful and connective way. So yeah, I've got quite a few spaces. The retreat is available here on Insight Timer, so go have a look. We'd love to have you there if you feel called. That would be powerful. Yes. But I'll be putting together that series coming up very soon, which I'm really, really looking forward to, which is all around programming the body to heal. I hear a little bit of noise outside. I'm not sure who it is. It's a little bit odd, but maybe I'll get interrupted in a moment. Let's see. So the cat has definitely made my cards incredibly messy here. But I do see 2 more messages coming through, just 2 more. The one is, remember the mirror. As you move through this turning point and weave your intentions and visualize this new world and are brave enough to face your fears and dare to dedicate more and more time to your healing journey and your meditations and your self-work and your seeing and your journaling and maybe you're punching in a punch bag to, you know, have some somatic release or whatever it is, and maybe even if you're calling in to align with the energy of abundance, recognize the mirror, because it is all you and there is always something to learn there, always something to see. So that's that with the channeling, Divine Family. I do hope you enjoyed that, and let us prepare ourselves a little bit to just set some intention together. I'm gonna take a little moment to see what you've said in the comments there while I was in the channeling space. Jennifer, self-trust and strength to stay in alignment, and when I'm not, the ability to notice and get back into alignment. Hey, sometimes we've got to come out of alignment to get back into alignment, you know. Sometimes we've got to go left to come right. All part of the flow, yeah. Donna, thank you for that message. Needed to hear it. Absolute pleasure. Thank you for being here, Donna. Blessings. Leonore, thank you so much for your time. It's being magical. Nara, own heart. Hannah, I've been taking a lot of downtime lately. So necessary, Hannah. Very, very good. You're trusting that intuition and listening to what you need, essentially, right? So important. I wanted to share something else now. Oh, yes. For those of you who are tapping into abundance energy and calling that in and aligning with that energy, at this time I do have an 8-part series available on Premium called the Abundance Activation Meditation Series. It's 8 meditations. You can access them again and again, and really that is about programming the mind to align with the truth of this earth and what we are, and, you know, to deprogram the nonsense programming we've been fed around. You've got to earn a living, like earn the right to be alive. What do you mean? I was born here. This is my home. Earth is my home. And to just realize, like, the earth is abundant and there's enough for all of us, and, like, yeah, to essentially let go of those, like, capitalist ideas of, like, wealth and money, but to step into a true energetic, this cat, oh my god, go. Oh my gosh, hey, it's never boring. It's never boring. Yeah, it's never boring, is it? It's never boring. Yeah. Alright, and of course, Divine Family, if you are resonating with the energy today, if you're enjoying being here with us, if you're new, if we haven't met before, hello, my name is Carla. It is such a gift and an honor to share this sacred time with you. Thank you for sharing your sacred time with me and for being here. I hope you'll hit follow if you're new, if you enjoy it. And for anyone who feels called to donate in today's session, that is very, very graciously received. Thank you. That does help to make this a sustainable practice for us, so we can keep showing up here in these live sessions, doing this kind of work. And it's such a powerful gift to pay that forward, because you support teachers like myself, to be able to provide for people who can't necessarily afford to enter these kinds of spaces. And I think that's the wonderful ethos of Insight Timer. So we just give a lot of thanks for the people who do support in that way. So with deepest gratitude. And of course, feel called, if you are on Apple, to donate after the session, because that means that the full donation comes to us instead of Apple taking 30%. And there are always other ways that you can support your favorite teachers if money is not an abundant resource for you at this time. You can hit attending on our live events. You can listen to our guided meditations. You can invite someone to a live event. You can share things out on your stories. That's very, very graciously received and appreciated. It helps us to grow. It helps us to get our beautiful messages out there into the world. And to just share our work. And I think a lot of the teachers here really are not here to make big money, but are just here to really be a part of this powerful community and to share in spiritual knowledge, sacred practices, and I think that is so powerful. But of course, while we still exist in a capitalist society, we do need to make money. So we do thank you for your support in that way. So I do feel called to say, let's enter into a short practice. My intention is short, but let's see, because sometimes it doesn't stay very short. Those of you who know me, sometimes it can be long, sometimes it is short. So let's just see what happens. But we've been live for a while, so let's see if we can enter into just a short intention setting practice. And so I'd just love to invite you to find your comfortable seat. Or maybe, depending how you feel today, you might wish to lie down, flat on your back. Or if it's necessary, maybe you'll even take a fetal position today. But wherever you are, invite the spine to grow long. Become aware of the breath. Invite the breath to travel deep into the stomach, allowing the stomach to move. And as that breath moves through the body, simply be with whatever you feel. Notice whatever is present here. whether you notice a knot in your stomach or an empty feeling somewhere, some kind of tension, whatever it is. And without trying to change it or judge it or name it, just give it some compassion. Just bring it in as if you're welcoming an old friend who's been through so much. Continue to allow that breath to move through the body. You might notice that your welcoming and your warmth shifts the feeling. You may shift your focus to another part of the body, bringing that warmth and compassion. You might even imagine this feeling of warmth and compassion as a color, as a glowing light, as a shape or a symbol. Any of the above. And allow it to spread all over the body. Until your entire body is filled with the warmth and the light of this divine love and compassion, until it is overflowing from you, surrounding you with an orb of glowing light. For just a moment, become aware of the ground below you, your connection to the earth, the force of gravity. And see if you can just send anything you don't need down into that gravitational pull. Use the breath, use the exhale, just let it go. You might even exhale with sound, like a sigh or a cry. Just allow. And as you make space in the body, the physical body, the energetic body, the emotional body, the spiritual body, the many layers of you, as you simply allow that gravity to absorb anything that you are leaving behind. Begin to call in from the corners of the universe your power, our power, the power of love. As you weave the words of your intentions for that which you are turning towards this powerful solstice time. Imagine those energies coming in to every layer. Call them one by one. You might wish to envision scenes of joy, abundance, peace, love, new world, togetherness, belongingness, community, thriving nature, healthy body. Allow the imagination to open and explore. Weave any affirmations of power, and whenever you feel ready, let go of the visions, the imaginings, the affirmations. Bring your attention back to the physical body. Wiggle the fingers and the toes. And gently, slowly come back into the space. Welcome home. Welcome to this new beginning. New versions of self, world, business. That kitty means business. She is, honestly, I don't know how I cope with her. And, you know, she's not like this all day, but as soon as I go live, look, and I think it's because suddenly all these cables and tripods come out, and that is just a trigger for her. Because she's like sleeping all day in the corner of the room until it's time to see a client. The best is when I have an online hypnotherapy client, and half the time with the hypnotherapy clients I have to hold her by the scruff of the neck for the entire session, and it's normally a 2-hour session. Like, she's impossible. Yeah, she's been such a test of patience for me, preparing me for motherhood, I guess. Ow, now she's biting my toes. Ella, deeply, deeply grateful for your generosity. Thank you for your donation from my heart to yours. I appreciate your support. Jennifer, the energy, yes, absolutely. She feels the energy. The cats are very sensitive to that kind of thing, 100%. I do think there's the physical aspect of all the cables, because you know how cats love to chase like strings and things like that. She loves the charger cables, you know. So I've got like 2 cameras going, and I've got a microphone, and I've got the laptop, and I've got lights, and everything is connected with cables. And she loves to rub herself against things, and of course knocks the tripods over. Yeah. So I think it's a mix of that, and then feeling the energy, of course, as well. Yes, 100%. Hannah, I love the animals of Inside Timer. Yes. Yes, me too. Jennifer, I'll have to check it out, because that is what I've been working on, is my thoughts and relationship with money. Oh, Jennifer, honestly, the Abundance Activation Meditation series is quite a powerful one. I also have a talk on abundance that I did here on Insight Timer. Unfortunately, the audio quality was not strong enough or good enough for me to release on Insight Timer. Maybe I should try. I didn't try submit it. Maybe I should try. Yeah, let me consider trying that. But I did upload that one to my YouTube channel, if you're interested, and that's a great way to tap in. Also, you know, at some point they're going to make the archives available here, which I'm super excited about. That's a feature to come still on Inside Timer, so looking forward to that, because then you can just tap into the archive version right here on Inside Timer, which we would prefer. But honestly, that meditation series it changed my life. And you know, as with many things in my business and my career, it's very personal. You know, energy work is very personal. I'm only going to teach what I know works, because I'm working with it myself, right? I'm not just going to make something for someone else. So of course I made those meditations for me to work with reprogramming my mind with, you know, the kinds of problematic beliefs I grew up with. And there I'm working with a form of magic. It's a form of postmodern magic, and or chaos magic, which is all about shifting the psychology. It kind of works on a similar concept to hypnotherapy, but it is not hypnotherapy, just to let you know, because hypnotherapy is a very specific thing as well, or hypnosis is a very specific thing. And yeah, but it has a similar approach in some ways, or idea, but this idea of accessing the subconscious mind and planting new seeds. And yeah, and it's very, very powerful. Highly, highly recommend. My favorite ones that I always go back to is number 2, Doorways of Abundance, darlings, number 2. Number 6, Fields of Abundance. That one is probably my favorite, Fields of Abundance. And number 7, Oceans of Abundance. And I'll tell you, Doorways of Abundance is powerful for programming yourself to shift constantly. Fields of Abundance is if you need to manifest something quite soon. Like, oh, I'm really battling with like getting clients right now. Let's go into the Fields of Abundance, okay? And Oceans of Abundance, really good for programming the nervous system to feel safe with money and to feel safe with where you are, or with whatever monetary or financial or abundant situation you are currently in. Okay. So do check that out. Donna, my intention through this solstice is to live my values of curiosity, compassion, kindness, even through those rough waters. Thank you for sharing that, Donna. I really love, obviously, compassion and kindness, but you know, we hear those words a lot, and that's not to diminish them, but I really love the word that you chose there of curiosity, because you know, that one's a less frequently chosen intention. And I think that this energy of curiosity inquisitiveness, playfulness, very similar words, right? So similar energy, or I think an integrated energy is a childlike energy. It's a magical energy. And, you know, often when we talk about like the inner child and the child self and the, like the child that lives within us, or accessing like the, you know, child archetypes, we're often very focused on the trauma, or like the, you know, the childishness, or the parts of that child that haven't experienced joy or need healing and integration, and that's important work. It's not to, oh, this cat, it's not to throw any shade on that, but there is a lot about the child in us that is very magical. And I think that curiosity, that's something we often learn to like kill. The imagination, this ability to like look at things with awe, like, ooh, what is this, right? If we can enter situations with a sense of curiousness, like, ooh, what could unfold here, right? There's something very powerful about that energy. And so thank you for mentioning that. I think it's a great word to use. Absolutely love it. Blessings, Jennifer. Absolutely grateful to have you here, and so grateful that resonated for you. Ella, deeply grateful for your donation. Did I already thank you? I can't remember now. I think, was that the first donation that came through? Yes, it was. But thank you again, Ella. We can thank you twice. Thank you, Shalini. Johnny, thank you. Ruth, deeply grateful for your donation. Thank you so much for your support. From my heart to yours. Jennifer, oh yeah, they love the cables. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, cats. I honestly love them. Jennifer, chaos magic sounds like my kind of magic. Yes, chaos magic is very much actually following on from what I was just talking about, this energy of curiosity, right? Is quite a curious, playful kind of magic, less based in this like very strict discipline kind of, you know, institutionalized kind of magic. And these are like sort of the two main schools of thought within magical practices, is playfulness or like discipline. You know, I don't know if I want to say independence, because, you know, with the playfulness energy, there can still be like covens and working together and like being part of groups, but there's more freedom versus like the rules of the institution. And with me personally, in my approach to magic, I think magic lives within you, right? Magic energy, like magic is just manipulation of energy. All of us are manipulating energy every single day, just moving your hand, that's magic. And so it's just about how conscious we become of like how we manipulate energy in, you know, beyond just physical manipulation, like, you know, picking up my crystal and then moving it over here. But, you know, how we visualize or how we move things in our psychology. So I think personally everything is magic. In fact, I think one of the best definitions I ever heard of magic, and you know, again, this is just something I picked up on social media, so I can't remember who I heard it from, but someone said, I think magic is just a spicy form of psychology. And I was like, yes, I think that's such a great definition of magic, because, you know, when we work with psychology and we shift something, we have like a huge break where we're able to release something, or like a major realization comes through, like that is magic. And yeah, honestly, even hypnotherapy for me is absolute magic. So yeah, do go tap into the Abundance Activation meditation series. It's a true powerful gift. And for those of you who are not on premium, just sign up for the 7 days free and tap into those 8 meditations and get the most out of it. And honestly, if you can afford to be on the premium package for Insight Timer, this is really a company worth supporting, because it's just based on such phenomenal ethics, so much sharing and kindness and love and support. And how many of you just present here, right? Give us hearts. How many of you have had major shifts because of this app? Because you've had access to a teacher or a practice or support or community because of this app. Because for me, it's been powerful, and I know a lot of people for whom it's been powerful for as well, right? Thank you. Lots of hearts coming through. Donna, deeply, deeply grateful for your generous donation. Thank you so much for your support. With hearts overflowing, my heart to yours. Thank you. And thank you to everyone. Yes. And thank you to Insight Timer for this beautiful platform. We are so grateful to be here, to be sharing, to be part of the community. What a profound honor and privilege it is to share magical spaces with these magical peoples here. A true blessing. A true blessing. Shout out to every single one of you for being here today, for sharing your magical energy with us. What a blessing it is to connect. Shout out to the blue team, the beings that I channel. I don't know if I said that earlier. Hello, my name is Carla. I'm a psychic, and I channel a group of high-dimensional light beings whom I refer to as the blue team. You can hear how many times I've said that. Shout out blue team. Honored to work with you. Shout out Solstice. Shout out New World. Shout out Mars retrograde and triggers and learnings and unfoldings and shiftings. And shout out Pluto in Aquarius, and shout out 2025 is gonna be lit. Let's go, let's get ready. I will be setting up a predictive session for 2025 soon. We'll do a month by month general reading for everyone.